All right, welcome back to another race survival series. This is week number 4 and game number 3. In my opinion, we just saw a great Protoss versus Terran game with Mighty against Barracks. Mighty, of course, coming out on top, and here he is, as the winner does stay. Putting Protoss onto the board, and he is in the top right of Eclipse, going up against the much more experienced pro in MisO. MisO's been putting out some pretty good games in the race survival series, I think. And we're gonna have to see what type of style he likes. I feel like MisO very regularly will have some lings and then go into 3-hatch Hydra, but not necessarily commit on it. We'll see what that play is actually going to end up being. Mighty pulls the probe back here. See if it's a gateway expansion or a forge expansion, possibly even a Nexus first. Hard to say. I think that could be risky, as MisO is known as a slightly more aggressive Zerg player. Yeah, should be fun. I feel like our PvZs on Eclipse generally are pretty action-packed and pretty cool. So there's the forge. Now, this could, of course, turn into a cannon rush. We'll see if this is going to be a hatchery first or a pool first coming out of MisO. The probe just going straight across. A lot of times, well, at least when Eclipse first came out, a lot of times the probe would make the forge and then go down this way so the Overlord didn't see him. You just kind of circle around like that and then sneak behind and throw the cannons down, because this is one of the better maps for cannon rushes. Now, a second drone comes down immediately, so he's actually getting into that position that I was just pointing out. That's, you see, right? It's like a little bit obvious, and it doesn't work all that often. Cannon rush is much less likely to work in StarCraft 1 than 2 because of all the holes and everything. You have to have like a perfectly shaped natural to really make it strong, and he just does not have the ability to do it with this drone sitting here. So you can see that Mighty like wanted to do this, and it just isn't going to happen. So he throws down the second the Nexus, just lets the forge sit, and MisO, for the cost of one drone sitting there, has given himself that fast expansion with no chance of dying. All right, so you know that's a PvZ opener. that's we see that plenty of the time, honestly, at the high levels, and really probably at any level. All right, the probe going to come up and scout that third base location for MisO. Very standard stuff once again. Gas on the way. And I guess what I'm waiting to see right now, very specifically, is from MisO, and whether or not he's going to get the Hydralisk Den while on 3 hatches still. Again, it's something I've seen him do quite often. And, you know, I think that, you know, you can definitely try to trick your opponents so they prepare for you. One thing to mention is that basically the pros within StarCraft 1, there's like, they all know each other so much because it takes so long to reach this level that everyone kind of knows how everyone else plays. So yeah, you could try to mind game, but you can't even mind game all the time too, right? With the amount of matches these guys actually end up playing all the time. Goes ahead and throws the layer down, so it's not going to be that quick Hydra stand that we were talking about. Oh, the probe actually taking a bad turn there and taking some additional damage. Got to keep that thing alive still, but seeing the layer is going to put Mighty's heart at rest quite a bit. Now, this is a very quick +1 that got started before that Cybernetic score is even done. I'm pretty sure that we will see the Stargate still coming up right away. And with the speed at +1, we'll see if he goes for the quick Citadel as well. You know, get that charge upgrade going. But never bad to get +1 on the way. Layer over halfway done. And at this point, the probe has really been alive long enough that you know there's absolutely not going to be Hydras on the way. It would be like the weirdest mind game in the whole world if there was. This one Zealot was sent partially out to try to make sure that MisO doesn't get too greedy, right? Like, you send the Zealot out, and the Overlord sees it go, and then this is a common move to just kind of hide it in the center or turn around and walk it back, just to add some unsure vibes to the Zerg player. Try to get them to make some Zerglings, because, I mean, if it's on the way, it's on the way. You can't just be like, they're going to stop it. And then it walks in and kills 2 drones, or stops mining for a long time at minimum. because you were greedy and did not make any lings. So you see all these extra lings that were made. A big part of this, of course, is from the fact that he walked a Zealot out. So nicely done from Mighty. Gets back to the wall. Another gate on the way. Citadel finishing up, so he'll get those legs going right away. And of course, his Corsair is going to be coming out. The Spire, a little, right around halfway done. And time to start adding some macro hatcheries. Hatches 4 and 5 have been started from MisO. And we'll see if he goes into that 6 hatch that is so popular right now. The Zealot's standing pretty far out, but I guess that is still Zergling tight. Has his defensive cannon up as well, so no real shenanigans can happen with these Zerglings right now. And yeah, there's that 6th hatchery that has become very, very common at this point. You do notice that +1 air attacks gets started here for Mighty. So ready to really commit into those Corsairs. That is one thing I've quite liked about his PvC as well. I feel like he's a better Corsair user than a lot of the top pros right now. Parts of that sometimes reminds me of like a more Bisu-esque style, where a lot of very strong Protoss players will try to get away with like 2 Corsairs if they don't think you're going mutas, whereas Mighty, I feel like on average he's more likely to produce a few more Corsairs and just like keep that production going for a little bit longer and really control the skies, which I gotta say I appreciate. I mean, anything Bisu does in the matchup I like. All right, so some Scourge flying across. Of course, he already has a Corsair near those cannons. There is a cannon warping in right here, so that's kind of a defensive measure as well. +1 in legs, both done already, so this is a very quick move out. Hydralisk Den on the way, as well as his Sunken, but only finishing as he gets in with the +1. He's actually going to get some damage here. There are 5 mutas hatching, so at least there's that, but this is absolutely fantastic. Splits 1 Zealot off into the main base. This Sunken does take some damage, but he's trying to pick off drones as much as possible. Drones, of course, going to have a hard time fighting against Zealots, and actually, that was some great micro from MisO. Mighty did not even realize what was happening. If he had, he would have been able to kill at least a drone or 2, but the defense, absolutely fantastic. I have got chills once again, taking a look at that from MisO. So doing the best he can, like with the mutas only popping out once he's already in there. That was very little damage. And now suddenly, 41 drones to 44 probes. So that is pretty excellent. Great count. Now, let's take a look here, right? +1 carapace is just a little bit behind +1 attack. Oh my god! Did you see that? The mutas came in to do some harassment because he hasn't seen the Corsairs, and the Corsairs insta-jumped on them. Moving shot. MisO split them as best he could, but he takes a ton of damage and loses 2 of them. So that was a huge move from Mighty, who continues to make these Corsairs, and even though that +1 carapace is on the way, got to be feeling all right. More mutas coming though. You know, as that +1 carapace finishes, sometimes you can just go in there and ogres their game, or you get a bunch of Scourge to connect with the Corsairs, or at least to zone them out, and the mutas go after cannons. So we might see that end up working. By the way, I've literally never seen this on this map. Normally, Protoss just expands here. In this particular game, he's making some cannons, and he's expanding this bottom right base, which, again, you just don't see. This is really, really exciting, because this is a Muta Scourge opener. So now we have to see MisO decide. Does he dive on this base? The Corsairs came over here to wait. He's got +1. He's got a lot of them, but +1 carapace is done. So if you fly in with enough Scourge, I think MisO can kill this base. I think. But let's see. All right, the mutas fly in, and here come the Scourge. Oh my god, getting on top of everything, but no, the connections were not good enough. 8 bruised mutas going to fly away, more cannons on the way, and 4 Corsairs remain with a single cannon. So a very solid defense from Mighty. And again, I have literally not seen this type of strategy, right? I mean, he took it right as he started to dominate the skies, so there's not a lot of scouting going on. So I guess that works for now. And you have to build up Hydras. But by the time the Hydras are here, is he going to have enough cannons? Maybe he can slip a High Templar up here. And suddenly, like, you have 4 or 5 cannons and a High Templar holding a ramp. That's not something you want to try to break with Hydras. A lot of Hydras are being made, though. There's another hatchery on the way at the 4th base location here for MisO. Taking a look over here, we do have +1 armor done. +2 armor on the way. Starting to add those gateways as well. Oh, that storm. Are you kidding me? 4 Corsairs going to chase down so many mutas after the storm kills all of the Scourge. Beautiful execution once again from our Protoss player. Mighty going to try to chase down so much. The probes do get transferred down, so this is going to be a very solid economy, an amazing economy for for Mighty. I'm almost calling him Minis, playing so damn well in this matchup. But looking really, really nice. Does have that Dragoon range on the way. I think we're going to see a big gateway explosion. I think he really wants to get up to like 10 gates at least, since he does have that 3 base economy now. A ton of Hydras coming out, though. So at this point, I'm looking at this, and I think, see where his army is standing? If all the Hydras come down at once, this could be in trouble. Let's see. Let's see. Okay, he starts to come in. The Muta's trying to pick off High Templars. They actually get one right there. Oh my god, the storms are real, though. Zealots taking almost as much damage from that one as the Hydras, but the Hydras having to turn around. There are a lot more Hydras being rallied in, so Mighty still has to be careful. Yeah, as the more Hydras come, like, you're going to need Psystorm to help. The Zealots alone can't beat this. Absolutely not. There's not a Psystorm on this High Templar. So suddenly things are starting to go haywire. Another storm goes down. Okay, backs up. Do you turn around and fight as they're coming up the ramp? No, he decides better of it. So many Hydras being made. The Lurker upgrade on the way. More Zealots being produced. And, oh, that's a good storm. Okay, okay. But look at this rally, right? Like, there are so many hatches. It's 7 hatches that can produce Hydras right now. And he's got a very solid economy with 53 drones. Now, Mighty pulling back behind his cannons with the High Templars, and then the Zealots going out elsewhere. Now, okay, this is what I actually wanted to talk about before. He's added another cannon. He's adding pylons. I think we'll see some more cannons as well. Because the reason why I think he had his main army here was so that if this base got attacked, he could get there in time to save it. Because if your army's behind the wall and this base gets attacked, you're not going to save it in time. But if they're here, absolutely. So I think that was the idea, but MisO's macro is huge right now. So he is, I mean, this is a ton of Hydras, and you got to be careful about that. You have to mass up a really strong army with a lot of Psystorms. Like right now we see Zealots fighting, and they're doing like okay, but without the storms, they will lose. Now here comes some storms, but it's a bit late. We saw a lot of the Hydras go down. Some decent dodging there as well as the Zealot count diminishes. And I gotta say, I think that Mighty strategically in many ways has been winning this game. Tactically in a lot of ways as well. But I think right now MisO's macro has really kind of caught on. And just these moments where it's like Zealots fighting without the Psystorm support have really made it very difficult for Mighty. And now you can see MisO's actually ahead in supply. And that's not where you want to be at, right? Especially when you got your 3rd base up this quickly with the 3rd gas. This is a position where you would normally look at the timing that this went up and the fact that it got up and say that he's got a big advantage. But MisO has kept enough pressure on that the army size is just not that large for Mighty. He's lost a ton of units fighting and scuffling in the center. He hasn't reached that critical mass that you really need where you start to trade very efficiently against Zerg. So now we have a Lurker containment coming up. Decides to take down the gateway as well. Just opening up this area so he can actually move his units out. It's actually a crucial thing to do when you're coming out into a contain. You need nothing in your way because it's so hard to make armies actually run perfectly. Okay, this placement of Lurkers is perfect. You saw he tried to hit both with the Psystorm, and he can't. So he needs to step up and give it some real shots. The Lurkers are being knocked down pretty quickly, but is he going to spend too many Psystorms? Okay, decent storm there. Having to pull back. I mean, if you don't have the storms, you can't fight with the goons. The goons need that additional support. So we're only on 8 gates here. He did kill this one, so one less. Here's another one on the way. Okay, he's starting to get those numbers back up. He does have the +2 carapace, which is nice against just +1 attack. It is about to be +2. Yep, there it is. coming out with his observers and goons once again. Desperately wants to knock out some of these lurkers. That's a great storm as the Hydras try to come up to support the lurkers. Yeah, this is exactly the type of move you want, right? You're taking like 3-4 spines on one Dragoon against a lurker and you kill it. That's a great deal for Protoss. All right, picks off another one. Yeah, it's very nice the way he's going about it. And look at that. As the Hydras come up once again, he does storm them. You're kind of luring them in. A couple more High Templars do get picked off before they can gain more mana for those storms. No Kadarian Amulet, by the way, which is a pretty common upgrade at this point to get those High Templars popping out 63 energy instead of 50. Takes 30 seconds after a High Templar pops out to actually get a storm, so that lessens that by quite a bit. All right, coming forward now, trying to break out fully from this containment. I think the contain might be too strong, though. Like, look at how big this is. Look at the amount of Hydras and Lurkers coming up. And he's going to eat some storms and eat them badly. But the Hydralist count is huge. Now, hold on, though. A lot of Zealots joining the fray. But here come the support Lurkers. Those Zealots going to get absolutely fried if they continue. That storm, absolutely amazing, though. A lot of these Hydras starting to fall down. But does he have enough to knock out the few remaining Dragoons? Just about. Another base is being taken from by MisO during this. Well, I mean, Mighty's still trying to macro up to get out of here. But this Lurker Hydra there's just so many coming across the map. I don't know that he's going to take these fights, even if good storms land. The unit count is just so large for MisO. You can see he's up a good 20 supply. Although a lot of that is in workers. That's almost scarier in a way. Don't forget, Hydras are 1 supply, whereas all the units you see here for Protoss are 2 supply except the Observer. Yeah, that's going to be it. MisO takes down Mighty.